Summertime is wonderful, but it's probably the most difficult time for perfumes, at least for me. I live in a hot climate and I don't wear perfumes during the day so much. I mostly use perfumed shower gels, but once in a while I spray myself with the fragrances from my collection, and today I will share them with you. One of the perfume notes that I'm truly addicted to is fig. And there are all different kinds of figs. And today I will show you 3 figs that are very different, and 2 of them, they come from the brand called L'Artisan Parfumeur. I have many videos reviewing the collections of this brand, but I have not mentioned these 2. And these 2 are dedicated to figs. I will start with the one that I actually have already finished last summer, and this one is Première Figuier Extreme version. L'Artisan Parfumeur has 2 versions of this fragrance. One of them is Extreme and the other one is Eau de Parfum. Both of them are very soft, they don't have sharp edges, they're perfectly suitable for both men and women. The brand describes it as a ripe fig fruit, but I associate it mostly with the fig tree leaves and also with that milkiness of the stem. When you just take the fruit off the tree, there is a milkiness coming out. It feels like coconut water, but very distantly. And that coconut water that you get directly from coconut has a bit of greenness and woodiness, but it does not have that sweetness that coconut note has in fragrances. So here the coconut is not existing, but it's kind of in the air between the notes. And I absolutely love the woody base in here. Overall, I would not say that this is a fruity gourmand perfume. I would say this is a woody, powdery perfume with a light, fruity touch. And this is particularly true for the extreme version, because here the fig is much more subtle, while sandalwood is just amazing. It does not have a very distinct sandalwood character, because I think it has a little bit of a powdery almondy touch, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful base. While Première Figuier is one of the best sellers of L'Artisan Parfumeur, I think a lot of people ignore the fragrance called Caligna. And this one is a much more obvious fig, but this one has a green character, which I think makes it absolutely wonderful for summertime. And I have this beautiful miniature, unfortunately without spray. It opens up with the herbal bitterness and freshness that feels very watery. I think there's a note of water lilies in here, and it feels like the stamps of water lilies and that freshness of water lilies at sunrise. I'm just fantasizing in here. But the fig comes in very fast, and it gains sweetness towards the middle of the pyramid. I don't get so much florals in here, especially rose is totally absent because my nose is not liking roses. Jasmine, yes, is here, but jasmine is present in many fragrances. What I do get here is violet, and that violet is also very special. It is powdery but yet remaining green and mixing so well with the fig fruit. And I love wearing this fragrance for an hour or so, but then something disappointing happens. This fragrance starts dying out. And while Première Figuier is a very long-lasting fragrance, despite it's pretty low on the scale of my intensity, unfortunately, Caligna shortens its projection very, very quickly. It stays very close to skin, which is still great for summertime, I think, because it gives a certain freshness and aromas to your skin. Nonetheless, the base is coming out very, very nicely. The mix of pine tree and oak that feels like sharpened pencils is just beautiful. And at this moment, again, it makes me think about standing under a fig tree and maybe somewhere around Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat where they have a lot of pine trees. And Abraxane does not bother me at all. It has a very soft dry down. If I want to take my fig into gourmand direction of a fully ripe and sweet fig fruit, I will choose a fragrance called AO by the brand called Floraiku. Overall, this brand makes perfumes that are closer to skin and very delicate, but here it's not the case. Here the fig is really, really juicy. A little touch of violets and mandarins enhances that juiciness and sweetness. It's also true for the base, where we find myrrh that makes it very sweet and gourmand. Sweet fig, yummy. Musky fragrances are probably not my favorite kind of fragrances. I like musk as an element in a perfume, especially when the base is more complex than a simple musk. One of the reasons I don't like musks is because they always go into a wrong direction for me. They either go into a sharp direction and they scratch my nose, or they go into a soapy direction, which I also dislike. But I have some perfect musks for summer. And they come from a brand called Valmont. I have an entire collection. I have not done a full video on that collection yet, and I'm not even sure I will do one. And here they have a collection that is called Palazzo Nobile. That's the way they look. Palazzo Nobile has 6 eau de toilette. Here they come in a format of 8.5 ml. One of my favorites is called Sea Bliss. The fragrance opens up with marine notes, but these are not the typical marine notes. These marine notes are like a very light breeze of the sea that is just somewhere in the air. And that breeze of the sea is mixed with a nice, really delicate, not synthetic at all, tiare flower. And that tiare flower is a bit vanillic and super feminine and just so light, and it freshens you up. And the reason I like this brand is that their masks of the base are just the best masks I know. So soft, just rolls around my skin. The next one is also evolving around aquatic theme. This one is a mix of green apple and heliotrope, with an aquatic note that is a little salty. But if you know, I'm not a big fan of salts, so when I say a little bit salty, it really is a tiny hint of salt, not a salty fragrance. Green apple is not a kind of note that I would associate with chic perfumes, but in here, just the way it's mixed with the heliotrope is just such a beautiful balance among the elements. And of course, everything is held by that wonderful musk one more time. Another one that I was not sure I would like, but actually I did like it, and it became a very good friend for layering. This one is called Blooming Ballet. It's supposed to have a mix of rose and freesia. Fortunately, I don't feel much of a rose. For me, this is just freesia and musk, but really of the top quality. And I like mixing up this fragrance with others. And one of them is Goutal. I have the fragrance that is called Le Chevrefeuille, honeysuckle basically. I don't get that sweet honey-like note in here that I was hoping for. Layering Le Chevrefeuille and Blooming Ballet does not add sweetness, but it creates a perfume on its own. And this scent has several dimensions, but at the same time is like smooth and dancing around you. If I were a perfumer and I had to create a scent that represents satin material, that's the fragrance I would make. It really makes me feel like I'm wrapped in satin. These masks of Valmont, Palazzo Nobile, they are just so perfect for the summer. Check them out even if you're not a fan of masks, because these masks, they are really top. If you know any masks better than this, let me know. I was not expecting to include cherries into my summer selection, because cherry is a kind of note that I usually associate either with cheap sprays for little girls or with a cherry liquor that comes with tobacco notes and amber and something that I like wearing in fall or winter. But today I have 2 fragrances that I like to have for my so-called cherry days during the summer. And the one that I wear during the day is called Call Me Darling. It's musky, it's light, and it has a very unique note of cherry milk. I would say it's more like sour cherry, creamy notes. Orange blossom is in the middle, but I don't get much of orange blossom, which is actually great because I don't enjoy orange blossom tremendously. But it's just so simple and so likable. It might be overly sweet and overly pop for a lot of people, but for my summer, it's just something that I tend to reach out. And the fragrance that I use in the evening on the same cherry day, Lovefest Burning Cherry. For me, this is just cherry and almonds, bitter almonds. Despite that I think it is a sugar bomb, it is like Fanta versus orange juice. But yes, this is my guilty pleasure. This is a fragrance I use in the evening, and I actually do get a lot of compliments. I like the way it radiates at night, and when I go to a night bar on the beach. One thing that I have realized that I was unfair to the Lost Cherry of Tom Ford. I used to like Tom Ford because they were making these androgynous, mysterious fragrances that were not made for everybody, and I really liked that uniqueness. So when Lost Cherry came out and I could hear it almost on every street, I was disappointed that this is a fragrance that really went into masses despite its price. But I think now that this wave of obsession with Lost Cherry is gone and I don't hear it everywhere as much, maybe that's the time for me to revisit. We'll see about it this fall. And the last group of fragrances that I have been enjoying a lot recently are bubblegum fragrances. No, I am not inspired by the movie Barbie. Even pink color has never really been my favorite. But floral, fruity, bubblegummy vibe is something that I really like for my hot summer days. One of them is Wonderland Peony by Floral Street. And if you look at the pyramid, it's actually very interesting. But the fragrance is very simple, very linear. It makes me think of a bubblegum. Do you remember those chewing gums, Lovies? This is a similar kind of vibe, but this is something that I wear on my skin and I radiate. It doesn't last very long, but I always have it in my purse, I spray it, and it's just a kind of perfume that instantly puts me in a happy mood. And the second bubblegum fragrance that I discovered this spring is coming from a niche brand called Les Imaginaires. And the name of the perfume is Fleur de Sable. And this is an imaginary flower, but in reality it smells like fruits to me. In the official pyramid you see eglantine rose, and while I find most roses in fragrances to be very annoying, eglantine is an exception, because it's kind of translucent, transparent and very airy. In here, eglantine rose is present with a tiny touch of salt, which makes it even more airy. Mostly what I get from this fragrance is fruits. And surprisingly, I get some kind of bananas. But not real fruit bananas, but more like a banana chewing gum. If you look at the olfactive pyramid, you will also see that there's a lot of pepper. You get black pepper, pink pepper, paprika and orris. And yes, these notes are in here, but they are kind of mixed together and they only capture maybe 5% of the fragrance. They don't dominate or ruin the fruitiness here. And fruity musk is just wonderful here as well. It's just complementing the entire composition. This perfume reminds me of Juicy Couture. And I know a lot of lovers of niche fragrances don't like Juicy Couture, but for me this is a favorite brand in the cheapie section. I used up very quickly my sample of Fleur de Sable, but I was still not ready to invest in a full bottle. So I decided to get a decant of 5 ml, because I knew that most likely I will be just using this fragrance during my summer and then I will switch to something else. When I got the decant, I had no doubts about the authenticity of the fragrance, but something was different about it. And I realized that this particular batch did not have the proportions of notes distributed in the same way. And this one was much more spicy. That red chili pepper was really coming out. And I think for me this balance was broken. The sweetness of myrrh was still there, but that floral and sweet and bubblegummy something that I really liked in my sample was not there anymore. Fleur de Sable made me realize how much I miss Juicy Couture. And I decided to repurchase Viva la Juicy that I used to have in my earlier days. As a scent, this is not a scent for Barbie girls, despite its lovely pink bow. For me, this is the best caramelized sandalwood that I know. The versions that I had before, in my memory at least, they had that combination of praline and caramel, much stronger. The new version has a mandarin and citrusy freshness and berries lasting past the opening, and that makes it much better for summertime, much lighter. There is a perfume by Sergio, which is a very expensive niche brand from Italy, and they have a fragrance called Gran Ballo. And Gran Ballo is almost identical to Juicy Couture, despite that it costs 10 times more. But when I put the two side by side, believe it or not, Juicy Couture sounds much better to me. It's better balanced and it even lasts longer. I've heard bloggers saying that Gran Ballo is a grown-up version of Juicy Couture. Gran Ballo is not more sophisticated, is not more adult-like. It is indeed really similar, but Juicy Couture is just better. Another perfume where I decided to go for a full bottle is Balenciaga Intense by Balenciaga Paris. I mentioned this perfume in my spring selection. At that time, I only had a sample. I used it up very, very quickly, and I had to dig for this bottle because it's discontinued. Blueberries, they don't really have a natural smell. This probably is the best blueberry fragrance I know. But my first impression of it was, wow, this is just a beautiful light floral. I could not point out the florals because I have no idea what night blooming curious is. That's what makes it mysterious and so amazing. There's freshness and femininity and lightness in this fragrance. The next three fragrances that have become my best friends for hot summer days are the collection of Cartier, Rivières de Cartier. And I'm thinking to make a separate video about these three, but just a little spoiler since I'm making a video about the fragrances that I personally use this summer. My favorite one in here is called Insouciance, and this one is probably the best violet I've ever known. It just is so amazing on my skin, so delicate. It's just like a wonderful, wonderful veil. Floral, fresh, very thin, very feminine. I really cannot imagine violet to be any better. The only thing is that it's pretty intimate, just perfect for an intimate date. Well, this is it for today. If you want to check out a few more fragrances that I have been using this summer, see my video dedicated to the French Riviera perfumes.